And boom, Bawdy, we're live. What's up, man?
Hey, what's up, man? How's it going?
Good. Did I say that right?
Yeah, Bawdy.
Bawdy. I said Bawdy, Bawdy. Welcome, dude. I appreciate you coming on. Sorry I'm like 15 minutes late, but you know, it's gonna make for a banger. Do you wanna how about this? Let's start with like a quick intro into who you are, what you do, and then we can get into some fun stuff.
Yeah, sure, man. I've been in crypto for a while, for a quick minute. Definitely well before the 2021 blow off top. And got interested in privacy, and I've just been interested in tech. I'm an engineer by trade. These days I do trading and I don't know, analysis, a little bit of coding, a little bit of open source kind of stuff. And mostly in the Monero community, I'm known for my price reports. So basically every Saturday morning I do a live price report. Mostly we cover kind of like macro, big picture crypto. We don't really get into the kind of like deep dive meme coins, the new projects. I just try to like keep it high level overview kind of stuff. But yeah, man, I just just chilling. I just exist out there in the ether and try to put forth a few good words, a few bits of good advice for the community out there.
So you do price reports. I love that. How long have you been doing price reports for?
Oh man, I think 2022 is when I got started. About 3 years ago.
Well, those price reports are looking pretty good right now. Okay, so I got really excited about Zcash. Probably the same time everybody else got really excited about Zcash, maybe like a month ago, give or take, maybe a month and a half, 45 days ago. And I'm not like a historical privacy guy. So this, privacy coin scene is like relatively fresh to me. By no stretch am I an expert, and I primarily have just been trading the chart. So I got really excited about Zcash. Things kind of got parabolic. I was trading the chart, and now after things have like calmed down a little bit, I kind of want to go back. I'm like, okay, we've covered Zcash, but I feel like I have a responsibility to cover everything else. And so Monero is one that I think it's the only privacy coin I knew like coming into this, right? Like everyone I think hears about Monero, knows that it exists and that it has the word privacy next to it. I think a significantly less proportion of people are familiar with how it works, why it works, where it sits, its lore. Can you set the stage a little bit for what Monero is, and then why do the diehards view Monero as the only real privacy coin and sort of like shun off the rest?
Yeah, sure thing, man. Let's go all the way back to the beginning, right? And the word was with God. No, I'm just kidding. So day 11, Bitcoin launches. Day 11, Hal Finney is one of the first guys that Satoshi brings on to help him, develop this project. Day 11, Hal Finney posts to Twitter looking for ways to add more privacy to Bitcoin, because they knew from the beginning, hey, we've got some privacy properties. They didn't really understand the full scope, right? It's taken us over a decade to really understand the privacy landscape, the cryptography, to develop not just the cryptography, but the infrastructure, right? All of the supporting pieces, all of the implementations required. And so it became evident maybe somewhere around 2015, 2017, 2018, that Bitcoin really wasn't doing that great a job at privacy. Like there was privacy tools, but they weren't like really default, strong, developed from the ground up systems. And so Monero launched in 2014, and it tried to do a lot like Bitcoin did. We don't know who the founder is, some guy named Thankful for Today. Turns out he tried to do some weird stuff with the project. So we actually forked the project from him. And it used to be BitMonero, and now it's just Monero. And so we launched a lot like Bitcoin. We don't know, the founder's anonymous. There was no pre-mine. There was no corporate mechanism behind it. It's pure community funded, no dev tax, nothing like that. And basically, Monero chose to use conservative, well-vetted, well-reviewed cryptographic primitives that was within the reach of like ordinary users that you could run on regular hardware. Because some of the really cool cryptographic stuff, like the ZK stuff that Zcash has pioneered, back in the day when they launched, that stuff was hard to run on your machine. It would take a long time to construct transactions, stuff like that. So Monero launched with this belief that, hey, money needs to be fungible, and to be fungible, it has to be private, right? So fungible meaning you can't tell which $100 bill belongs to who, right? Like you don't care whose $100 bill it is. They all have cocaine on it, fuck it. So we decided, all right, we're gonna hold true to principles. There's a lot of corporate coins out there, and there's a lot of different ways to fund coins, and there's a lot of debate that goes back and forth, and we're not going to necessarily hate on the corporately funded coins, but we wanted one coin to at least be there that was like pure community driven, pure community funded, and like true to the cypherpunk ethos. And so like that's the people that eventually made their way into Monero. What's funny, even like, we will talk about like what's the bull case for Monero, right? You got sort of fundamentals, reputation, organic adoption. What's funny is that after the whole civil war with Bitcoin in 2017, the only thing that the maxis and the Bcashers could agree on was Monero. Like in Monero, we have people that are like very Bcash friendly, and they, maybe some other coins as well. And then you've also got some people that are like almost total diehard maxi Bitcoiners, and Monero's okay as well. So Monero sits at this kind of like nexus of cypherpunks and real organic adoption. We even have people that are like anti-Moonboy. They're like, no, stop talking about the price pumps. It's about the adoption, bro, right? So they're really about the principles and the philosophy. So that's kind of like the big top level overview of where Monero's.
All right, let's do some like history class then. Fuck it, I'm down. I love this. I love this shit. I love some good lore.
Right on.
I was tweeting yesterday. I was getting clowned yesterday on the timeline because I tweeted. I came into crypto November 2020 for NFTs. I'm not like a OG cypherpunk. I came for NFT. I came to trade animal pictures and Top Shot NFTs. I've since kind of worked backwards, right, over the last 5 years, but I definitely started on that side. And I tweeted yesterday, why is Bitcoin Cash worth $12 billion? And some bunch of people were replying, and somebody replied, and they were like, because Roger Ver. And I replied and I said, what's that? Which I now have done my homework and realized it's a little bit of like a just ridiculous thing to say. But I obviously have like minimal context on this whole like Bitcoin Cash war, if you will. So you said 2017, the only thing that the Bitcoin Cash people and then OG Bitcoin people could agree on is Monero. Like give like as much light as you want to shine on that, please do. And then how does Monero like come into play with that on like the history side?
Yeah, so it was actually kind of a pretty bitter civil war that happened. It was effectively the direction that they were going to take Bitcoin. Some people wanted to increase the block size, and I'm sure that your users have heard about the block size wars. That's what that was. So some people forked Bitcoin and they called it Bitcoin Cash. For a while, they were kind of pissed that we called it Bcash. I sort of sided with the maxis. I was even a little bit of a maxi myself back in the day. And eventually kind of realized, like there's actually some good projects out there. I found myself like using Ethereum. I was like, well, shit, I can't exactly be a maxi if I'm actually like using Ethereum. And then, Monero offered such a good use case to maintain your privacy. The thing that really like pushed me into Monero more than anything was trying to use Bitcoin privately. And I was like, all right, well, I need to follow like all of these steps, and I've got to like mix my coins, and then I have to be careful about my outputs. And I got to do all this other stuff, and I got to go over Tor all the time. And if you send one output to one person, make sure that, please, way too much. And so eventually I said, all right, you know what I'm going to do? If I need to spend funds privately, I'm going to keep a chunk of Monero. I'm just going to keep it on reserve. And if they don't accept Monero, then I'll just flip Monero into something else, whatever they do accept. Right. And that'll keep my privacy good. I don't got to worry about, doing all this crazy gymnastics on Bitcoin. But over the years, like, I'm sort of like condensing a few years of timeline here, but over the years from 2017 to about 2020, there was a lot of development that happened on Monero that really advanced the project in ways that make it much more usable, that make the privacy much stronger. And a lot of people saw that, right? The people that were, again, like truly interested in it for the digital freedom money use case. And so we saw maxis sort of coming over to Monero because some people need strong privacy. Some of them were criminals. Mostly, honestly, the guys that I know in the Monero community, like hardly any of us are like dark net market extraordinaires. Like most of us are just like normal guys that pay for servers and VPNs, like Nano GPT, gift cards, donations, like you name it, right? Like there's this big circular economy that's developed around Monero for the digital freedom money use case. Because like if I'm going to send you funds, bro, like if I'm going to donate to you, it's none of your business like how much money I have in my bank account or in my crypto account or in my crypto address. And so it's like when you start gaming out, like, all right, well, I've got to do all this stuff to send a donation or send some money to like someone that shouldn't know that, how much crypto I have or whatever. Whether that's, because I'm an influencer and I have so little, or because I'm a nobody and I have so much, right? Like either way. But yeah, so it's like, it's nice because it's default privacy. You don't have to think about it. It's like, I'm just going to use Monero. Maybe I'll run a VPN as well. And if I have like a really strong use case, all right, there's a couple little edge case gotchas, right? cryptocurrencies are sort of leaky in terms of heuristics, and Monero, neither Monero nor Zcash is any exception to that. And so if you have a really strong threat model, like you're a darknet market vendor, okay, well, you're going to need to study a little bit. But for the rest of us, like just the average people just using Monero like on a day-to-day basis for paying for stuff, like it's good enough. Like no one's trying to snoop on your VPN purchase.
So I don't know how. Also, thank you for the lore. I don't know how like technical you want to get. I don't really have like an in-depth understanding about how Zcash works. I just don't. Could you like how does it work? How does Monero work? And then there's all of this chatter about like it's not really fully private and like AI can pattern match and things like this. Like how does it work and how do you sort of I don't know guarantee privacy, if you will, on Monero?
Yeah, so very classically, when it comes to a transaction system, you need to protect three things: the sender, the receiver, and the amounts.
Yep.
And if you don't protect all three of those things, you're gonna provide some kind of data that an adversary might be able to use. And obviously, we're in the days of big data, big tech, and AI. And there's chain analysis is a $10 billion industry, so they're working pretty hard to try and do this. So as far as the tech goes, the way that Monero protects the amounts, we'll start with the amounts, is we actually used a bit of ZK proofs of our own. It's called bullet proofs. Started as range proofs, then it evolved into bullet proofs. And it's effectively a quantum resistant means of protecting, a perfectly blinding method of protecting the amount. And amounts are like super crucial to protect because when you purchase some very specific amount thing or you transfer some very specific amount of funds, that usually betrays some kind of heuristics, but basically like sort of indirect stuff that you can use to put together a picture, a profile. So we protect the amounts with bulletproofs. We protect the senders with something called ring signatures. So effectively, we have rings of 16. And what you're doing is you're taking 16 random outputs from, not exactly random, but you're taking 16 outputs from the entire chain, and you're hiding as one of those outputs. And then once you receive funds, you're going to receive those funds, and someone else is going to use your output as a decoy to theirs. And so even though for your specific transaction you have an anonymity set of 16, your anonymity set grows over time. But it's not perfect. Zcash actually, in a very technical sense, Zcash does it better. They don't use ring signatures. They sign over the entire output set of the shielded pool in Zcash. And so this is a technological, I won't call it deficiency. It was actually an intentional choice by the Monero community to not use new math at the time. ZK proofs, ZK snarks was new math. And so we weren't like too sure about like how well vetted that is. And the other thing, it was kind of slow. And the transactions were quite large. And Monero, people needed privacy then, right, in 2014. And so the decision was made, hey, mathematically speaking, rings of 3 are actually extremely good. And you just have to bump that up to give yourself some buffer zone. So in 2018, Monero went to rings of 11, then we upgraded to rings of 16. And now in the next, probably about the next 6 to 9 months, we're going to upgrade to something called full chain membership proofs, which is effectively a similar means that Zcash uses of signing over the entire output set. And so that sort of closes the most difficult aspect or the most problematic aspect of Monero privacy. As far as we know, you can't unwind it. Like mathematically, statistically speaking, this has been very well reviewed. You can't mathematically unwind it. You can, using heuristics, using metadata, and using all the big resources of the big bad state and the corporate surveillance apparatus. They've got their means and their ways to reduce that set somewhat. But for most people, again, that's if you're not purchasing drugs or if you're not operating a darknet market, they don't care about you enough to go through the trouble to even try. Yeah. And even those people that are on darknets, like they like, as long as you play your cards right, the ring signatures are still good, but it is less ideal. So we're going to that. So that's how you protect the sender. And then finally, last bit here, the recipient is protected by something called stealth addresses. So every time that you receive Monero, you generate a new address, and it's impossible to link the public address that you send, that you're going to send someone, hey, send me money to these, to this address. It's impossible to link that address to any of your other outputs on chain. And then, sorry, one last thing. We also do IP obfuscation by default. It's called Dandelion++. It was invented for Bitcoin. They never implemented it. I guess they don't like to upgrade very much. So Monero fucking ripped it off. We stole it and we dropped it on chain. And so it gives you default IP protection. It's better if you also use a VPN or Tor, but it's still pretty good.
So once
that's the lowdown.
Once,
go ahead.
First of all, that was beautiful. Once, this full chain upgrade happens in, I think you said 6 to 9 months, something like this. is the FUD on like ring signatures can be cracked, or I don't know the exact verbiage, but essentially that go away completely, and you have like full private coverage.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like that's the one thing. It's been a thorn in our side for a long time. Like, like, hey, this could be a problem in it, and in some cases, it might be slightly a problem, right? Like again, high threat level actors. It's a game of cat and mouse. These, the government's got their big data and the corporations, chain analysis. So we need to always stay ahead of that. So yeah, that one last thing will close the gap between Monero. The only thing that really is between Monero and Zcash. And as a side note, I'll say that the full chain membership, FCMP is what we call it. It's actually a little bit faster and a little bit smaller than the Zcash implementation. We can do batching effectively, so you can batch verify transactions. So it's actually a little bit faster. And this is one of the benefits of sort of taking the conservative approach. You can wait for the technology to evolve, mature, and then sort of choose the best implementation.
So I don't know if you have any data in front of you, but I'm curious. People always say that, Monero is the chain that is actually being used. Now, who's using it? Relatively irrelevant for the sake of this conversation. Versus Zcash is like, a nerd snipe, but no one's actually using Zcash. Do you have any even rough output of activity between Monero versus Zcash?
Yeah, and I've looked as much as I can, and all the places that we see Monero and Zcash offered alongside each other, we don't see very much Zcash usage. Whereas any place that we see Monero offered alongside, say, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, Tether, etc., Monero is literally number one, number two. I mean, we're talking anywhere that it's offered alongside other options. It often beats Bitcoin. And Zcash is usually less than a fraction, like it's a fraction of a percent. So we've got that. We've also got Monero very consistently for years and years now has had daily transactions in the 20 to 30,000 range.
Whoa.
And again, all of those are fully, they're shielded transactions because of the default privacy. Whereas the number of shielded transactions that are actually being done daily on Zcash, I don't know what the numbers are right now today because it's a little bit in flux. But for the past few years, it's been like 100 or less. It's been very low for a long time.
Where can you actually use Zcash? Not.
I don't.
I'm not trying to go too deep, but I'm just where are these?
Yes.
What is accepting Zcash? Or excuse me, I meant Monero, but both. Actually meant Monero, but
Oh,
both.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, as far as Zcash, I haven't really tried to use it too much, really at all, to be honest. I think that it's offered like Nano GP. So okay, but let's just start with Monero because I can talk to that. Sure. You can buy VPNs for Monero. You can buy servers, gift cards. There's a new service called nanogpt.com. So if you want to access all of the latest AI, so right, like Gemini, OpenAI, fucking Llama, and all the other ones, right? Like DeepSeek, they've got all of the models on there, and you can pay for with any cryptocurrency that you want. I think they have Zcash, so you could pay Zcash with that if you want there. I think, yeah, I'd have to double check that, but they definitely accept Monero. It's their number one used coin. Let's see, coincards.com if you want to use Monero to buy your Christmas presents, or maybe you want to get an Airbnb, right? You just get a coin card, pay for your Airbnb with a gift card that way. There's a couple cool websites. XMRbazaar.com is kind of like the Craigslist of Monero. You can go there and find all kinds of stuff. I've even bought freeze-dried beef for Monero on occasion. Let's see, there's Monerica. There's another one called Monerica.com that sort of lists all the different places that accept Monero.
Word. It was really difficult to find somebody that wanted to come on stream and talk about Monero.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't think our communities intersect that much. I use Sol, I've got a Phantom wallet and I've played around with it and whatnot. But I don't think our communities intersect that much, to be honest.
You were hard to find.
Which is a shame.
W pull though. Okay, so there was this FUD, if you will, that happened, I don't know, 3 months ago, 6 months ago, that there was a 51% attack, hostile takeover on Monero. And I think it was kind of a troll. I don't know. I watched a Hasib episode on this. I heard about it for 30 minutes, didn't pay much attention, and then now I'm sort of pulling old references here, but I'm sure you are aware of what happened, how it happened, why it happened. Can you break down the hostile takeover, how that was possible, and what the long-term effects are?
Yeah, 100%, man. I actually wrote a Monero simulator in response to this attack. I wrote a simulator because I wanted to study what are their strategies, what's their ideal strategies, what kind of countermeasures can we deploy. So I put that onto GitHub, and it's got to be one of our best simulators we have to date. And it's fast, man. You can simulate like an entire year of blocks in Monero in like 40 seconds. So what happened here? Back in 2013, so I guess back to some more of the lore. Back in 2013, these guys named Isle and Syrer put out this fucking cool names, put out this paper where they talked about, they said 51% isn't enough. You can actually conduct they called it selfish mining. You can conduct a selfish mining attack against any proof of work network. And it's basically when you find a block, you don't tell anybody about it. And you hope that you find the next block on top of that. Because, if you think of proof of work mining, like flipping a coin, well, sometimes you're going to flip heads like 6 times in a row, right? So as a miner, sometimes you're going to win like 3, 4, 5 blocks in a row before anyone else catches up. And that's just that's natural statistical variation. And so no one has ever really tried to implement a selfish mining attack against any proof of work chain until Cubic came along a few months ago. And by their own admission, they never got 51% of the hash power. What they got, they said, is maximum 33%. But they were able to do some short chain reorganizations between, say, like 5 minutes, 30 minutes, right? They were able to reorganize the chain on short timelines, which did definitely cause some disruption. But I'll tell you, for them to be able to do that, they had to actually bribe the miners. They were paying people in their Cubic token, which at the time was trading about 2 times higher than the actual mining reward that you would get from just mining Monero. So what they did is they sort of used their high token price as a subsidy for attacking Monero with the selfish mining attack. As it turns out, at best, 33% of Monero's hash power is for sale. The other 66%, the super majority of Monero hash power, apparently is not for sale, even if you're going to offer them 2x the mining rewards for it. So it's definitely a little bit of a problem, right? All proof of work networks are a little bit vulnerable here. But ultimately what we saw is that it's actually not that easy. These guys lost money trying to attack the network. And now their prices kind of crashed, so they've gone away. But it's also in a way, it was a good thing because it showed us, hey, we're not totally invincible, and we need to really start studying what are the ways that we can adjust and make selfish mining attacks much harder. So the Monero devs are currently hard at work on that. Hopefully with my simulator, I'm going to start testing different countermeasures because there's always side effects that you might get from implementing things like this. So we can sort of simulate the outcomes, and hopefully maybe next year we'll have some good solution for it. But we never got 51% attack. There was never a hostile takeover.
What happens if you get to 51? Is it
you
possible?
Can it is, yeah, it's totally possible for anybody to gain 51% of the hash power if you're willing to pay enough money for it. So Monero's CPU mined. So we have a very decentralized mining network, whereas most proof of works are ASIC mined.
Okay.
And with ASICs, there's it's like a double-edged sword. You get some protection because it's kind of like proof of stake. Who wants to buy an ASIC and then attack their own network, right? But at the same time, it's yeah, but that's a heavily centralizing factor in the mining. And now they're getting, now the ASIC miners are getting all the rewards. So yeah, there are many different proposed solutions for sort of fixing this. It's just going to take some time. We want to, again, we want to be conservative, deliberate, make sure that what we implement is actually a good solution.
Are you're just a crack dev? Who built the simulator? You built just coded the simulator? How does this work?
Yeah. I mean, I do my own dev for other stuff. I play around with an operating system called FreeBSD, and I do a little bit of statistical analysis for charts, stuff like that. But yeah, when this attack, I was working on something else, but this attack kicked off, and I was like, shit, man, I got to do my part. I got to save Monero. So yeah, I spent some time, about 6 weeks, doing this simulator.
Are you actively a core contributor to Monero, or you're just a community member?
No, I'm just I call myself an advanced pleb. That's the best claim I could make.
Who is the core developer team at this point? Who's working on it?
Oh man, there's actually a pretty large developer team. One of the lead guys his name is Rucknium. He's an Anon, but he's the one that sort of leads the Monero Research Lab meetings daily. Luke Parker is the one that's not daily, weekly. Luke Parker, I mean, they're always communicating, right? Daily, it's all kinds of stuff that comes up. Kayabanerv, also aka Luke Parker, he's the one that developed full chain membership proofs, and so he's one of the big guys. He's on Twitter. You can follow him there if you want to. Or sorry, X. He's on X. Sorry, Elon. I don't want to piss off the Elon gods. Who else do we have? Man, we got so many. We got Woodzer. we got Jay Berman. We're on Matrix, so if you're interested, get into the Monero Research Lab on Matrix, and they're friendly
What is
guys.
Matrix?
They'll talk to you. Oh, Matrix is it's like a messaging app. It's kind of like Telegram or Discord.
Is that like
but
an
you can run your
app
own
store? No.
Yeah, I mean they've got their own app. You can access it through a web browser as well. But it's a messaging app, so you can run your own server basically.
I've never even heard of that. Jeez, that's awesome. Why is Monero not on any exchanges? I was trying to fuck around and bid the other day. Why is it not on any exchanges?
Yeah, man, that's a good question. Maybe we should ask Brian Armstrong and and the Gemini twins. Maybe we should ask CZ, although they removed it after they removed CZ. So it's on Kraken though. You can get it on Kraken as long as you're not in New York. I don't know where you're located, but
I'm in LA.
If you're in Europe, oh shit, yeah, man, get on Kraken. You can buy Monero.
Why is Kraken the only one that has it? Just like there's no legal guidelines, anything. People just don't want to list it. Like, what is that?
We have our suspicions, right? We don't want to be lobbying, all kinds of conspiracies at people, but we have some suspicions that, maybe there's like a financial incentive because Monero never did a pre-mine. So we didn't hand a fat stack of Monero or ASICs for that matter to, to some of the exchanges. But Kraken from the very beginning, a guy named Jesse Powell, he's like one of the OG guys, right? He launched Kraken, and he was like adamant that they were going to always keep Monero. And so they delisted in Europe under like regulatory pressure, but in the United States, we haven't really seen that pressure. Just in New York, they were never able to get the bit license with Monero listed, but Kraken has kept it listed the entire time. So we've been like asking Brian Armstrong and, the Gemini brothers, like, please put Monero on your exchanges. But, ultimately, bro, we had to like route around that shit, right? Like, so we have all these different sort of like decentralized solutions. Like someone developed atomic swaps, and now there's a wallet called Eigenwallet that you can flip between Bitcoin and Monero with like atomic swap, like all done in the background for you. Thorchain's currently integrating it. We got I don't know if you've heard of BISC. It's like It was like the old Bitcoin. So BISC is like this decentralized platform that like you can trade your like US dollars, cash, or Venmo or whatever, like buy Bitcoin. So we have ours it's called RetoSwap, RETO, RetoSwap. And it's the same kind of thing. Like you got to like install an app and do all this other stuff. But if you want the simple fucking degen way to get into Monero, man, it's you just get on trocador.app. Or orangefriend.com. And these are like, it's an aggregator of all the instant swap exchanges. And there's like 10 or 20 different instant swap exchanges. So like you can easily move like 10, 20, 50 grand into and out of Monero on these instant swap exchanges with like with no problem. And you can do it in like 30 minutes.
This might be like a ridiculous. Is it an L1?
Say again?
Monero's an L1 or no?
An L1. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just the regular old blockchain.
Okay. Someone in the chat is like, Kraken was really pressured to delist it, but Jesse Powell stood on business. That's awesome. That's honestly sick. I fuck with that. What about?
Yeah, big salute to that guy, man.
Yeah, shout out Jesse Powell. Okay, so you're the price guy. You post price updates every week. What is happening right now? Like, why is Monero kind of going crazy on the back end of the Zcash rally?
Actually, it was on the front end, believe it or not. So if you check out the chart, so the Zcash rally started about a couple of months ago, right? That was when the privacy narrative like really got full swing. But most of Monero's price action was built, from 250. It's currently at about like $400, but up to 250, 300. All of that came before the big privacy hype pump that just happened. And that's just organic usage, man. Like the thing is, like, because the core of people that love Monero and use it so much, like we've built this circular economy, right? So there's like this reputation, this fundamentals, this organic adoption. And so it didn't even matter in a lot of ways that Monero was being delisted, right? It got delisted from Binance, and then Kraken in Europe, it got delisted. It almost didn't matter because it's like, we're like, oh, fuck it. We don't care. Like, we're just going to build these centralized exchanges and continue using this in a circular economy. And so there's a lot of power in that, right? You don't get the meme coin kind of pumps, right? You don't get that kind of like crazy hype pumps. But what you do get, Monero was the best performing coin of the 2022 bear market. You get a kind of price stability because you're not on exchanges. You don't have the crazy speculation. There's not a huge market for the for the perpetuals. And I know you're a perpetuals guy. which you can still do, by the way. You can trade Monero perpetuals on Binance, Bybit, DYDX, Gtrade. All of them offer an XMR USDT pair. But generally speaking, right, Monero is like, our belief is that, hey, if you want price gains over the long term, right, fundamentals are a long term kind of consideration. And don't get me wrong, like, bro, I'm a degen with the rest. I will trade stuff if it's going to pump. If I think it's going to pump, right, I'll trade it just like anyone else. But when it comes to like long-term investment, I really consider myself more of an investor than a hype chaser, although I do a little bit of both. And so Monero for me is like a long-term investment because the community is so dedicated to building these circular economies, that like that puts a floor on the price in a way that like it's hard to dump below certain levels.
Is there some sort of like fee structure? Like, does the like foundation, if you will, like make money? Do they transactions generate fees? Like, how does that work?
No, bro, we don't even have a foundation. There's no corporation. There's no corporate entity. There's no foundation. We have some systems set up. So it's called the Community Crowdsource, CCS, and it's how we fund as a community the stuff that we want to see. So when Luke Parker came up with an implementation of the full chain membership proofs for Monero, he put his proposal out there, and then it got listed on the CCS, and the community funded it like practically overnight because it's like the biggest that we've So everything that is funded in Monero, the community funds it. Like there's no corporation, there's no dev tax, there's no pre-mine, nothing like that. It's completely organic, no corporation. So you can't have any government come in there and start screwing with your corporate status and holding, that sort of regulatory sword over your head. We're like, yeah, we don't care. Like we're just going to keep, and half of our, like a lot of our developers are anon anyways. Like good luck finding them. So yeah, like we don't even have a foundation.
What happened to this? You touched on it at the beginning. We'll work backwards. What happened to this Thankful for Today character? I've honestly never heard that name before today.
Yeah, I don't know. He kind of disappeared. I don't know. He wanted to do some weird stuff. Like
how
the implementation. I don't know. It wasn't terrible. It just wasn't like, it wasn't ideologically, like philosophically in the kind of like purity levels you could say, not to be like culty about it, but yeah, it wasn't. I can't remember honestly. Like,
okay,
I need to go up my lore on that one.
So bad you don't want to say out loud.
No, it's not like it's not like a dirty skeleton in the closet.
Got it. And so
it was just like, nah. Go ahead.
Sorry. No, my bad. You go ahead.
No, please, sir.
So an Anon founder, starts doing some weird stuff with the Monero vision. You guys are like, fuck this shit, and somebody forked it. Like exactly one.
Yeah, basically the entire community. The entire community was like, nah, that's not quite right. And so it was Monero, and then they did it wasn't even like the coin wasn't launched yet. It was actually just they forked the GitHub repo and renamed it from Monero to Monero, and then launched the coin freshly, right? So it wasn't one of these like, I won't name any coins, but some coin, not Zcash, but some coins they launched and had like an Instamine where like
say like
25%. Dash.
Okay,
Dash is one of the coins
thank
where
you.
they just launched, and then they're like, oh well, there's accidental pre-mine. Oh, but the community doesn't want us to like, fuck that. Like, bro, you just got like 25% of the supply right out the gate. Like, I don't want to be a hater. I'm sorry.
No, it's like good context. I would have gotten off stream. Chat would have said threadguy, like, who was it? I'd be like, I have no fucking idea. Word. Okay. So how do you think it plays out from here? Like, how big do you think the TAM is for Monero? And like, do you think it has to win the privacy like wars, if you will, to get as big as you think it can get? Or like, I don't know, like where do we go from here with Monero?
Yeah, so one of the things I told the Bitcoin maxis back in the day was that, like only one can win, right? They like start singing Eminem at you, right? If you had one shot, one chance to win. Like, guys, that's a caricature. So look at the historical empirical reality. We have had gold, silver, copper, all traded simultaneously as monies, and like depending on the use case, right? We've also had script, we've had fiat. Right now, there's like 200 fiats in the world. I know the USD dominates that, but like there's all different types of promissory notes, etc. Like there's so many different types of money, and no one of these monies is perfect, and that includes Monero. That includes Bitcoin, Zcash, and Tether, whatever. Like they all serve like different kinds of use cases, and so I don't think that Monero has to vanquish. There doesn't have to be like one coin to rule them all. I do think that Monero is a sleeper. I think that it's been quietly developing for a long time, and that a lot of the community, it's like you said, you're aware of it. You know that it's out there, and you're kind of like, yeah, I don't know, the criminals are all using Monero, but it's like, no. In fact, the fact that criminals are using transparent chains is actually a huge that fucks you up, because you accidentally come into contact with coins that have nefarious origin that you had nothing to do with, and now it looks like you had something to do with that, potentially, maybe. You're hoping, praying that chain analysis was able to see, no, I didn't do the bad thing. I just received the coins. But with Monero, you never have to worry about that. And once people start to compute this and wait a second, I can be free from false accusations by using a privacy coin. As a squeaky clean guy, I need that protection, right? That's protection. We have no shortage of stories of people that deposited coin to exchanges and got frozen on some AML problem, right?
It's still just happened on Mexi the other day. Someone got fucking frozen. White whale guy got frozen $4 million. Can't get it off. If he wasn't some big clouded trading account, who knows if they would have unlocked it.
Yeah, exactly. And that question, that just never comes up with Monero. It's if they accept Monero, they might ask you, where'd you get it from? You'd be like, I'm a trading DJ and I got a shitload of Monero because I traded, whatever. They're not going to be able to demand, there's no chain analysis they can do. Even the IRS tried to put a bounty, a couple years ago, they put a bounty out for Monero. They're like, any of you chain analysis firms that can crack Monero, we're going to offer you $1 million reward for doing it. And they just never paid out the bonus for cracking Monero.
Did somebody crack it?
No, that bonus never got paid out because no one ever was able to crack it. But yeah, I mean, I want to see honestly, bro, I use Ethereum. I use some of this other stuff. I don't think Monero has to dominate. I think there's room for a lot of people, but I do want to see Monero's potential maximized, right? Because we can't replace the US dollar. Monero can't do 1 trillion transactions per second or whatever the numbers people throw around. But, I do want to see Monero maximized for what it can be used. I think that's important.
Honestly, sick take. I guess it's sort of to bring it full circle, because honestly, I never really talked about this privacy stuff prior to Zcash, and then now I'm yeah, this is actually pretty fundamental to your human rights and the future of the world based off where we're going. I don't know if it's a coincidence or it's part of what fueled the narrative, but every day there's some new news headline out of the UK, and it's pretty scary on the direction this is headed. I don't know, can you just set the stage on privacy as a human right and where we're going and the direction this thing is headed towards the surveillance and the basically anti-privacy?
Yeah, there's a guy named James Corbett that has pretty good takes. He one of the things that he said a few years ago is that data is the new oil. And so data is this rich, sticky substance that they process, and they use it for all kinds of power games, and it's just highly versatile. They can do anything they want with it. They don't have enough of it. We're awash in data. They don't know how to analyze all of it, etc. And so it's only going to get worse from here, right? And if you want any hope of of preserving this fundamental human right, that is privacy. It's an extension of your freedom of expression. Your right to remain silent is freedom of expression. Silence itself is expression. And so your right to cryptography, your right to publishing, these are core concepts to a cooperative society. Without these things, you have straight up tyranny. And they've built the systems to make it really, really easy for you to give up all of your privacy. Just sign up for Gmail, right? We've got this whole suite of stuff. Use our software, use Windows, use Mac, use all of these things that have these embedded spying mechanisms. And people kind of get the wrong idea when they think privacy. They're like, yeah, but I'm not a hacker, and I'm not I'm not a ninja in the privacy realm. I don't know how to do this shit. And then say well, why should I try to do anything at all then, right? Well, it's about taking little steps and making the cost a little bit harder, right? If the government really wants to come after you, they're going to come after you. But if everyone's taking little steps to make it a little bit harder to get access to your data, now suddenly Facebook isn't feeding you full of ads, right? Because they never had, they couldn't see the rest of your browsing history. So just in a more general sense, right? Privacy tools. Maybe you're running a good a good browser blocker. Maybe you're blocking third-party cookies. And the thing is, every little step helps, right? Every little piece of data that you deny the big corporate, the behemoths that are spying on everything that you do, that's one little piece of your freedom, of your sovereignty that you've taken back. And it allows you a freedom and a latitude to operate in a way to make the choices that you want to make. You get to choose when you want to reveal your data, reveal your info, right? If like in Monero, if I need to share, maybe I have like, let's suppose we have like an organization together and we want to all monitor our addresses. Well, we can share the public view key for our Monero, right? So everyone can see all the funds that are coming into that wallet. But that's only because I choose to do it. And so the thing that I try to tell people is like, just take little steps, right? Use a VPN. VPNs aren't hard. They're pretty easy to get connected to. Personally, I think that iVPN and oh man, I always forget the other one. It'll come to me later, but iVPN is a good one. They're all like somewhat questionable, but at a minimum, VPNs protect you from low-level black hats. They might not protect you from, you know, from the NSA or whatever, but they'll protect you from like public Wi-Fi, stuff like that. So you want to use a VPN, right? All those little things. So just take all the little steps that you can, and know that you're giving yourself a little bit of extra protection every moment, right? It's like a little savings account.
That was beautiful. Yeah, that was like pretty. Data's the new oil is like who say? Can you say the guy James Corbett? You said
Corbett.
Corbett. That's why I couldn't find it.
Corbett. Yeah,
Corbett.
Corbett.
Found him.
Corbett. Corbett.
That was a crazy line. That's pretty wild.
Yeah, man, the guy's next level. He's and he's man, he presents things in such like a neutral way too. Like I really love his presentation. He's not like, you know, he won't be like, oh, they're you know, he's not like Alex Jones, you know, the gay frogs are coming to get you. Like he won't do all that shit. You know, he just presents you like, okay, here's what I found in the public archives and, you know, Congress record, you know, whatever. Like he presents a very not crazy view of the conspiracy world.
Are you one of these people that's like Monero supremacy, everything else sucks? Like there's I mean, it's crypto, right? So everyone had financial assets, everyone has like tribalism, Zcash versus Monero. Like do you think Zcash is good tech that people will actually use?
I do think that Zcash actually has pretty good tech. At first I was pretty uncertain about it because it was kind of like, we called it moon math back in the day. Like, yeah, this is unvetted, you know, this is new moon math. There's like 3 people in the world that understand this cryptography.
Yeah.
But over time, the more that something gets reviewed that has the opportunity for people to look at it, you say, yeah, okay, this looks all right. So I think Zcash does have good tech. My only complaint is the implementation. You know, like I said, I don't want to be a hater. I'm here to present Monero, not to hate on Zcash. Monero does have some maxis, like some true like hardcore maxis. That is true. I wouldn't call them the majority. I definitely call them like a pretty small minority of people in Monero. The reason is that most of us came out of that civil war from 2017, and we saw the kinds of like the psychological mechanisms, the failings of maximalism, right? We saw it happen with the laser eyes in Bitcoin, and we said, nah, that's not who we want to be, right? And so we have kind of a natural immunity to like taking it too far.
That's fair though. Like with like the lore, it makes sense. Dude, this was honestly sick. Like, I'd never wasn't familiar with you prior to this. I'd never heard you talk. You came on and presented it like fucking eloquently. As like a sign off, like, what do you like for pro Monero sign off? Like, what do you direct people to do? Like, how do they protect themselves? How do they get exposure? Where should they like go to tap into the community a little bit? Where do you guys hang out? Like, yeah, what would you like leave people with on that side?
Yeah, so for just like real simple getting Monero, right? Download Cake Wallet. It's on Android, it's on iOS. So you download Cake Wallet, and they've got swaps like just inbuilt on Cake Wallet. So if you got some Solana, you got some Bitcoin. Cake Wallet also has Solana, by the way. Solana, Ethereum, Bitcoin. So if you got some other coins, you can flip that into Monero really easily. We don't have a browser wallet, unfortunately, but yeah, Cake is a great phone, smartphone wallet. We have some desktop. Go to getmonero.org if you want to like run a node, download the software. We hang out on Twitter, on X, and like I said, there's a lot of activity that happens on Matrix as well. There's a handful of Telegram channels out there. There's probably some Discord channels out there. I haven't really been on Discord. I actually created a Discord just for this, so maybe I'll be hanging out here a little bit more. But yeah, overall, like Monero is integrated into the crypto system. If you really want to buy on a centralized exchange, you can buy through Kraken, or you can use an instant swap exchange. Again, trocador.app, trocador.app. And it just aggregates all the instant swaps. So I've used them more than a lot. But yeah, I mean, I hope to see you guys around. You know, I think it's a shame maybe that Sol and Monero community, you know, haven't really connected that much. But
Well,
bro,
they're
it was really
fucking
great talking with you. I really,
they're doing it now, man. And I also think like one of the reasons I like doing these streams, finding like people like you, is I think a lot of this. Again, I said I came here for 2020. A lot of this like OG lore, war story stuff just gets like lost in the ether to never really be heard from again. And a lot of the people who are newer, coming in like later stages, just have like no concept for it. And there's not really any place that it's documented in a legible like transcript. And so it's like sick I just like love some good lore. It's like sick to hear some lore. So I appreciate you coming on and like and sharing it with us.
yeah, man, I really appreciate you inviting me. That was really enjoy sharing the opportunity.
Fuck yeah, dude. Hopefully maybe like $1,000 per XMR token we'll run part 2.
Honestly, I think that's entirely achievable. Like the shit's privacy coins are going wild right now. So yeah, we've got good times ahead.
Let's fucking do it. It's great to meet you, man. Pleasure. Thanks for coming on. I really appreciate your time. Thanks, bro.